Islam. Oh gosh. Peace family. Sherece L. Um, please pardon my tardiness because something is going on right now. As far as me being able to establish the correct timing um, on my devices, but anywho, um, first off, I would like to start class with what the Prophet instructed us all to begin every Moorish meeting with, and it is the divine warning to all Muslims, and it states, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their just reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by the Prophet. If they lose confidence in their Prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet, Noble Jew Ali, and if the Prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The Prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their Prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Alright, Islam. Okay, so again, we're here another Thursday, um another expansion Thursday. Hopefully, everything that we go through today, um, you pick up on some wisdom that will expand your mind, open your mind. The last class that we had before, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we left off speaking about The Key, which is a book by a brother named Jonathan Bey. And the breakdown within the book that you're going to get is truly a understanding of what more science is. All right. But before I get into the book, I just want to remind people, if I can find, I just want to remind people to print out your rights card from MooriSDirectory.com. All right. Be sure to print it out, get it laminated. In the oncoming weeks, I will be at my local library here in the Bronx territory. I will give out the information once the library reopens because right now they're doing construction on the roof. But after that, I will have weekly classes going on at the library. So if you are in the neighborhood, please feel free to stop by the library and participate in uplifting fallen humanity, So I'm just gonna jump in. And 1 second, let me just put this. Just want to make sure that I have the PDF pulled up for you guys here. Once again, the key is a book that you can download for free, all right, at morrisdirectory.com. For those who are within active space, you already know that it's within the reference section of active space. Also, those who are interested within taking part within the active space forum, understand that this is a forum that is for those who have declared and proclaimed their nationality. It is for those who are looking to find like minds to study along with and to gain a more holistic understanding of more science, as opposed to, you know, like what people may the so-called conscious black scholars may put out there and project as more science. You will get the true understanding of what more science is if you are dealing and learning and, you know, absorbing information amongst Moors. I mean, that just makes logical sense. So, as Brother Cujo always say, you know, you want to know about Moors, ask some more. You know, so, but yes, this environment is for those who have declared and proclaimed. They know they're not Negro, Black, or colored. They're not straddling the fence. They don't have no qualms about what affiliation to choose or whatever. Like, you know that when you speak of Moors, you're speaking of your ancestry. You're speaking about your state. You're speaking about that lost history that the European colonists and land usurpers, identity usurpers, just usurpers, period, um, have kept hidden from us for generations at this point. So, you know, like, you have a clear understanding of that. So what active space does, it once again gives you a central location where you can come together with like minds, formulate your own study groups, be it whatever subject matter it may be. It could be law, it could be agriculture, it can be astrology, it can be, like, I mean, really, active space is for active Moors to utilize and to really take advantage of. So anybody who's interested, you can email um, moorbook at activemoors.com. Once again, that is more, MOOR, book, BOOK, at activemoors, plural, MOORS.com. All right. So yeah, so let me get started with this. And it's I'm just gonna share the screen real quickly. All right, so here we have the key. Okay, so you guys can see the whole thing. I got some feedback about last class and how it did not completely pick up the whole conversation. So what I have decided to do is essentially do a quick, well, not a quick, but a summary of the first 10 pages, as well as the additional 10 pages that I requested you guys to read through. Hopefully you read further than the 10 that I've assigned, but if not, you know, we are going through 10-page increments of the book, and it's a relatively small book. It's 130 pages. So I mean, like honestly, we're going to be probably speedballing through those 10 pages. Um, Probably might pick it up to like 15, 20 pages really. But as I stated, if you're reading along with me, then it's not going to be an issue. And once you get into the book itself, um, you will see that Brother Jonathan Bey, what he does is really take you on a path, on a journey of understanding this information. He kind of takes you. Um, I like to say that he centers you in the eye of the storm while also giving you a 360 view of the impact of the storm. I mean, like it's really amazing the way that he's very detailed and explains things in this book. But just to make it a little bit easier, for you guys, I have, like I stated, I have done a summary of my own of certain pages. So we're gonna start off. Um, we're gonna start off with some of the vocab words that were stated within the first 10 pages. And one of the things that one of the words that um, was expressed in the book was the difference between esoteric and exoteric. All right, so esoteric is commonly known as um, the hidden, the unknown, those things that um, most people aren't privy to, right? Well, the actual meaning for esoteric is that it's an adjective, first off, and esoteric is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or a specialized interest. All right. So, um, for instance, an example of esoteric knowledge would be the science of the womb. You see how hidden that is from the general masses, where people can't even, well, I don't want to say can't, but it's very difficult for them to find it. And then it's like once they find it, to decipher it is a whole other task in itself. All right, so that's an example of esoteric knowledge, or the word esoteric itself. Um, exoteric. Exoteric is an adjective and is intended for or likely to be understood by the general public. It is the opposite of esoteric. All right. So an example of exoteric would be a how our government is run on three branches of we have the three branches of government. That's exoteric knowledge. That is knowledge that is intended to be understood by the general public. So everybody's supposed to understand and know those things. You know. Another term is mundane. Um, Mundane is an adjective and it means earthly or worldly rather than heavenly or spiritual. So you may hear people say, they don't want to deal with the mundane. They don't want to deal with sometimes, it's like when people say mundane, there's like a connotative meaning in it where they speak of mundane as being something general. But in actuality, what mundane is referring to is those things that are worldly or earthly. All right. Um, it's of or relating to or denoting the branches of astrology that deals with political, social, economic, and geophysical events. All right. Another word that that I found interesting once I read this book was um, ecumencio. Ecumencio. Let me see if I can locate this word really quickly for you guys, just so you can follow along with me a little bit. Ecumencio. The Ecumencio Council. I'm not sure how many of you have heard this term before. But it's pretty interesting once you really uh, start to break down things and begin to really unveil what is being stated. All right, here we go. All right, so I am just going to share my wiki real quick. All right, so here you're seeing the Ecumencio Council, all right, or the um, Ocumencio Council, also General Council. All right, it says that the Ecumencio Council is a conference of ecclesiastical dignitaries and theological experts convened to discuss and settle matters of church doctrine and practice, in which those entitled to vote are convoked from the whole world, and which secures the appropriation of the whole church. The word ecumencio derives from the Greek language, which literally means inhabited world. All right, so just to stop here. Etymologically, it's telling you the root of where it's what it means. It says it literally means the inhabited world. All right. So when you're saying the ecumensial council, what you're really stating is the inhabited world council. All right, or the council of the inhabited world. So you have these a conference of ecclesiastical dignitaries and theological experts, right, who convene to discuss and settle matters of church doctrine and practice, in which those entitled to vote are convoked from the whole world. Convoke means to, it's like they're stating that they're called together separate from the whole world. So it's pretty much what it's saying is that it's a conference of ecclesiastical dignitaries that get together to speak on quote unquote church doctrines and practices for the whole world, on behalf of the whole inhabited world. Hence the Inhabited World Council or Ecumensial Council. All right. It goes further to state that the Ecumensial Council is applied more narrowly to mean the Roman Empire. Now this is very heavy because in understanding, breaking this down, you see why Brother Jonathan Bey, he brought it back to my mind today, why they have certain things such as, the sun never sets on the Roman Empire. Because it's in what the Roman Empire encompasses is the whole inhabited world. You understand? You start to begin to see why the arm reach of the Roman Empire kind of seeps within every nation on this planet. You know, either you have them doing some backdoor dealing, some kind of corrupt business, or they have all out war on people trying to enforce their way of life upon another group of people. You see what I'm saying? So it gets deep, family. It really does get deep. Um, but to continue, um, I want to speak about. Let me switch this over. Let me switch this over 1 second because I want to go back to the key here. All right. Um, so now we're here, and you see, going through the key, we spoke about the high priest of the time of Kemet, or so-called Egypt. Um, the Greeks traveled to our wise elders, our ancient wise elders, to be learned within, to learn within our universities and understand our ancient sciences practices. We broke down pretty much the liberal arts, you know, geometry, mathematics, music, etc. The Greeks traveled to Kemet, and through their own admission, such as the Greek scholars such as Plato and Socrates, etc. They, through their own admission, through writings and letters of their own, they stated how they learned from dark-skinned people. All right. Now, um, there was much, there was a lot of turmoil and bloodshed that occurred um, back in um, the, I want to say circa um, 4th century BC. And this was when Alexander the Third, or Alexander the Greek, the Greeks would call him Alexander the Great. However, I don't see what's so great about an individual who goes around um, massacring massive amounts of people, um, stealing their books out of the universities, and then want to plagiarize, the literature that was stolen, and create a library of their own, as if the body, the body of works within that library came from that individual themselves. Like that's not what happened. That's when you hear of Alexandria's library, what you're really hearing is the central place that Alexander the Third took all of the books after they pillaged and plundered a um a group of people, or a tribal site, a university. After pillaging and plundering that location, they would take the books, they would take what they could, and what they couldn't, they would burn. All right, this is how you hear of the book burning. All right, so they would take what they could, what they couldn't take, they would burn, and just kind of leave to ashes. And meanwhile, you have Alexander the Third opening the Alexandria Library, and claiming that the knowledge that was within the library was his own, and it wasn't. You know, but just to move forward, um, like I stated, there was a whole bunch of bloodshed of the wisdom keepers that occurred, and um the ancient priesthood, they pretty much were forced to go to like the four corners of the earth. You know, this is how you have um ancient sciences, certain ancient sciences still intact. Like when you look at places um such as the Grand Canyon, you know, where you see temples, you know, temples of the moon and the sun still there. You see uh you go to Giza, you know, the pyramids of Giza, that's a famous spot, you know. But you also have um places in India. You know, you have places in China, you know, Angkor Wat, what is now known as Cambodia. You know what I mean? All these places that our ancestors were that left civilization um in as best as they knew how at the time, um to be preserved and to be carried out for the next generation to fulfill. So I mean, it gets deep, family, but just carrying on, just continuing on. Um, After Alexander the Third died, you had what is known as a Diaduchi, right? There were three Diaduchis, and Diaduchi is Latin for successor. So you had three Diaduchis or successors after um Alexander the Third um passed away, right? The first of his successors, um, after Alexander died in 323 BC, was Ptolemy the first, Suther. All right, Ptolemy is a very unique character, and the thing with him is that he was the first to self-proclaim he self-proclaimed himself pharaoh, and he founded a dynasty called the Ptolemaic dynasty, or sometimes called the Lagad dynasty. Lagad, um, Lagad is his father's name, right? So you have Ptolemy who, after Alexander the Third passed away, you have this individual, this Diaduchi Ptolemy, who was a childhood friend and the lover, as well as general. He was the favorite general of Alexander the Third. All right, he came into um, power right after Alexander the Third, and what people must understand with him is that it's very strange. He, like I stated, he proclaimed himself Pharaoh of Egypt. Matter of fact, let me open up this PDF so that I can show you guys what I'm speaking of. All right. All right. So here we have Ptolemy the First, Suther. All right. Ptolemy, he um he became ruler of Egypt 223 to 283 BC, and founded a dynasty which ruled it for the next 3 centuries or 300 years, turning Egypt into a Hellenistic kingdom and Alexandria into the center of Greek culture. He assimilated some aspects of Egyptian culture, however, assuming the traditional title pharaoh in 305 BC. All right? So it's telling you right here. He assimilated some aspects of Egyptian culture, however, assuming the traditional title pharaoh in 305 BC. The use of the title pharaoh was often situational. Pharaoh was used for an Egyptian audience, and basileus for a Greek audience, as exemplified by Egyptian coinage. All right, so he had two different. It says here he had two different titles. In Egypt, he called himself Pharaoh. In Greece, he called himself um, Basilius. Basilius, right here. Trying to enunciate. Basilius. All right. So you have two. He has two names, but as I stated, the title Pharaoh is something that he self-proclaimed. All right. Um, this dynasty is very interesting to get into. I state this because let me just turn this off because I want to go back to the book. But the Palatamic dynasty is very interesting because most people know the dynasty without knowing the dynasty. And I say this because you have Cleopatra, who is said to be mixed with some African Moorish ancestry, as well as um, uh, being of Macedonia. She has some Greek and ancestry as well, but for the most part, people know her because of her relation with uh, Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. All right, so Cleopatra the Seventh. Also understand that Cleopatra, just like Pharaoh and Basilius, they are titles of a certain rank. All right, so when you hear Cleopatra, that's not necessarily her name, right? That's not what she was really called. That was just the title that she has. Cleopatra represented the title of the queen regent. All right. Also interesting to note that throughout the dynasty, um, um, the queen regents throughout the Ptolemaic dynasty, the queen regents were oftentimes the sister to the husband. So you had this mixed incestuous thing going on within the royal dynasty, and I'm not going to say that's where it started, but I will say that it kind of went haywire after that. I will say that because when you hear of more ancient dynasties, like further down the line, right? You may hear of a brother, a more Asiatic marrying, a cousin or something. But know that our ancestors understood mathematics. Know that they understood um, genetics to a point where they were able to create other beings. Okay, so when it came down to it, when it came to mixing DNA and stuff like that, it's like our ancestors already knew, like, okay, well, you would be a good match for this cousin over here that's twice, 3, 4 times removed. You know what I mean? Just to keep it locked, just to keep everything locked within the family bloodline, the royal family bloodline. They kept it locked. They kept track of everything. We master timekeepers. That's who our ancestors are. You know. But as I stated, the Ptolemaic Queen region, they were, since they were the, at times, the sister of the husband, and they were usually called Cleopatra, um, Arsony, and or Bernice. Arsony, I know, is Ptolemy's mother's name. So it's just kind of, it's funny how you can see how he constantly wants to have people plug in or tie in his family name, or continue on his family name through his parents, where you have the Queen Regent being called Ptolemy's mother's name, and then you would have other members of the dynasty being called Legads, which is Ptolemy's father's name. All right, I found that interesting. Also, an interesting note is that Pope, the term Pope, wasn't used until after Ptolemy proclaimed himself Suthor, and Suthor means savior. All right, so get back to um, let me get back to this book really quickly, because I want to show you this picture here. All right, so as you can see here, this is the, let me highlight it just so you can see. This picture here that I just highlighted, right? This picture is, okay. So this picture here is of Ptolemy in Greece, okay, where they would call him, um, refer to him as Basilius, right, or like the head title, equivalent to Pharaoh in Greece, right? Basilius. That's what he looked like. But check how he looked when you get to Egypt. This is the same. This is the same individual. Okay, these two. Let me back up a little bit just so I can put both of them into the frame. All right. So you have these two stone busts right here, or sculptures here, depicting the same individual. One in Greece and the other in Egypt. All right. So it says it here. Just to go on. Where does it say? Ptolemy. I wanted to see if I can find it right here, where it says the name that he calls himself as. Okay, so let me just read this part here. The popes of the Roman Catholic Church are called such after their lord Ptolemy, who, following his murderous takeover of the Egyptian priesthood, proclaims himself Suthor the First, which translates to savior. The picture to the left is the stone bust of Ptolemy in his role as his self-proclaimed Suthor or savior, which later was made official by the First Ecumenical Nicaea Council of Flavius Augustus, better known as the Roman Emperor Constantine, who preceded their mutual dependent James Stewart, or more notable under the title King James. All right, the same King James of the King James Bible, that one who authorized that Bible, that version of the Bible, same one. All right. The picture to the right above is Ptolemy in his role as the first, also self-proclaimed European pharaoh, who took in this capacity, who in this capacity, took on the Egyptian name Meri Amun Sepentre, which translates as the beloved chosen one of Amun-Ra. All right. So, I mean, peep game with how they murdered our ancestors, plagiarized the work of our ancestors, and self-proclaimed themselves as Pharaoh, taking on our ancestors' identity. All right, to the point where they created their own dynasty and their own inhabited world council. Right, the ecumenical council. Right, and remember, Ptolemy, the days of Ptolemy. Excuse me, the days of Ptolemy. Um, is the 4th century BC. The Nicaea Council was in the 325 AD, after Dominion, right? So there's some time here. There's a time gap in between this. However, remember the dynasty, the Ptolemaic dynasty um, reigned between the 4th century up until the 3rd. I would say that the 4th, the 300s, the 300 from the 300s to 30 BC is when the Ptolemaic dynasty reigned. All right, and then after that, you have certain wars continuing to break out, and then you have this emperor named Constantine come up with the ecumenical council, where they begin to construct, along with the ecclesiastical dignitaries and the theological experts, to pretty much establish this doctrine for the world to have to be adapted to, for the whole world to adapt to, right? Because it's at the Nicaea Council as well where um, you get the explanation. Excuse me, not the explanation, but you get the day of Easter. Why that is the day? Why the spring equinox is considered Easter. You also understand why they chose, at the Nicaea Council in 325 BC. They also chose December 25th to be the day of um, quote unquote Jesus Christ's birthday, right? So this is where you're pretty much you're touching the excuse me for 1 second, Sammy. My apologies. Just want to turn this off. All right, but yes, but 325 BC is where you're getting the understanding of how Christianity came into existence. Like when you Google Constantine, in the encyclopedia, dictionary, encyclopedia, etc., they will tell you that he is known as the father of Christianity, the father or the founder of Christianity. All right. The book also goes further in explaining Christmas as well. Now with this, it gets to be a little tricky if you're not familiar with um, astrology, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing with the book, but what I am going to do is pretty much um, give you a good summary of what is being stated within these pages. 1 second, I'm just trying to. Get this off. All right. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me, family. And I thank you guys so much for really taking part of this and really wanting to understand, you know, Moorish history for what it is. You know, there are a lot of people who take things out of context, um, misconceptions of things. You know, they refuse to study, they refuse to research things for themselves and really break things down. So for all those who um, take the time out to learn along with others, to learn by themselves, you know, kudos to you guys, because truly just in you utilizing your mind and critically thinking, that is um, enhancing humanity in itself, you know, in a lot of ways. Truly, you know, because just off of critically thinking, you're raising your vibration, and um, that's what we need to do: raise our vibration, our frequency into a higher state. You know, we're too stuck in the root chakra right now. We're too debased in the root chakra, which is why everything is asked backwards. But I digress. So, um, all right. So I got my little board here. All right. So I'm just pulling it out. Um, and they need it. But we're getting into understanding Christmas, and I wrote down the meaning of Christmas. Essentially, you know, essentially when with this book, what you're gonna understand and come to find out is that everything, everything in our universe is like a digital fractal, which can be measured. It can be measured on a geometric scale. All right. So soon we're gonna be getting into sacred geometry, and all geometry is um what geometry really is earth measurement. You know, like it's geo geo means earth, metry meter, measurement, right? So you have or sacred or secret earth measurement. That's what you're stating when you say sacred geometry. You're saying secret earth measurement. All right. Um, one second. You're gonna be playing with me already. Don't do that. All right. Anywho, so yeah. So when you say sacred geometry, what you're stating is secret earth measurement, right? Um, and these measurements, the geometry that you're dealing with, it is something that can be utilized on a micro scale or a macro scale. All right. This is when you're going to start getting into the Fibonacci sequence. This is where you're getting into really understanding the concept as above, so below, what is also perceived as the hex alpha or the Star of David. Um, your mind will start to really expand, and when it does, do not freak out. And I say this because some people don't really understand that you're you need to have an open mind when you're dealing with modern science. What you have to, before even attempting to get into this information, there needs to be a purge or a detox of what you thought was, okay? because right off the rip, you have to know that there has been a lie circulating for generations on multiple levels. All right, it's not just it doesn't stop at just the color game. All right, it doesn't just stop at the whole black and white thing. There's multiple levels that we have been um indoctrinated to misrepresent and to misinterpret. All right, so now when you get into more science, which will really expand your mind to a place where you can understand, you're going to get into quantum physics, you're going to get into things that you probably didn't even think like had any kind of relevance to anything that you wanted to do. However, once you really get a grasp of the sacred geometry, an understanding of the flower of life, we're gonna get into that a little bit later. I also want to get into a Kabbalistic breakdown with you as well. But once you understand that, once you understand, the um, the Platonic solids, uh, things like that, things start to open up, and you start to see, like, all right, yeah, we all are the same. We all are, from that same essential source. We all are similar. We may not be identical, but arm, leg, arm, head. We're one and the same. We come from the same place. We're all going to the same place. You see, but yes. So just to continue with what we were getting into with the sacred geometry, right? It stated that your mind and consciousness are two separate non-things. Both are based upon actual physical shapes that we call sacred geometry. All right? Remember, all sacred geometry means is secret earth measurement. All right? Another thing to note, when I stated that these secret earth measurements can be scaled on a micro level or macro level, what I'm speaking of is it can be utilized to scale yourself as an individual. It can be used to scale a flower. It can be used to scale the universe. Matter of fact, one second, because I know I have a picture that I can pull up real quick just to explain, just to show, I like to give you guys a visual. We visual people. Let me just look that up really quick. Um, Let me look that up really quick. Where did I put it? Maybe it's here. All right. Bear with me, family. Just want to blow it up a little bit and center it so that it's up to. And just bear with me, family. So Jessica Pisces is not. The earth, or excuse me, the universe, and there is a this is the cell of life, and so mm, my apologies, family. I just had to be sure of what I was locating here. So we have, as you can see here, um, you see the singularity, right? And this is really what I wanted to get into a little bit with you guys, which is pretty much breaking down sacred geometry a little bit. Um, First of all, let me go back. Let me go back because I want to also make sure you have a very understanding that. All right, here it is. Yeah. So let's do this part really quick, and then I will take you guys further into understanding the sacred geometry. We'll get into that. So it says, um, one of the first things you must comprehend is that there is no such thing as impossible nor supernatural. There is only natural nature, and the illusion which makes it appear super or above natural or beyond normal possibilities or even normal probabilities or even possibilities is simply one's misunderstanding of what reality is and how it functions, as well as the manner in which one must comprehend its basic factors in order to command reality to manifest as willed with proper intent. So here, what he's stating is that what you were taught, what it is that we think is to be, or what we think nature is, or how it operates and what's supposed to go, what's supposed to happen, quote unquote. um it's really all, it's it's when you do that, what you're doing is limiting the true unlimited potential of nature. When you do something like that, nature in itself is capable of all things. As we are capable, we as creatures of nature, we are capable of all things, right? So now, um, what is being stated here is that you must have an open mind. You must understand that when you get into more science, there may be conflicting um, thoughts, or conflicting, I suppose, conflicting theories that one may have. However, when it comes to what is normal, what is supernatural and things of that nature, it's really honestly only, like it says, natural nature. And the illusion which makes it appear super. So it's like, because we, you know, as a because we as a species, right, as the so-called human species, we There's a certain normality that we have grown accustomed to. So now say there was an alien that came from wherever. You may look at that alien like, oh, you're unnatural. You're not you're abnormal. But in actuality, they are normal. They are natural. It's just not what you have been accustomed to seeing as normal. So then you would call it. So then you would look at it and call it supernatural, because once again, you're not adjusted to seeing something like that. It could be anything. It could be a creature in the deep blue sea, because you don't often take trips to the bottom, the deepest bottom of the ocean. Whatever may be down there, say it was to surface on land, you would look at that and say, oh my gosh, like, that's beyond normal. No, not necessarily. How do you know that? How do you know that it's not normal? Because you haven't seen it before, it becomes a normal. You follow? So that is what is being stated here. There is only natural nature, and the illusion which makes it appear super or above natural. All right? And he continues to state that we must comprehend the basic factors in order to command reality to manifest as willed with proper intent. All right, so we got to understand these basic things, these fundamental principles, so that we can once again begin to um, be confident and secure with our intention and what it is that we will to manifest. You know, we have to be sure, because a lot of times, people uh, they don't have the proper intent. They don't have the um, right mindset to manifest things onto this plane. Their energy is off. They have something that is some form of imbalance, to where when they do manifest things, it goes awry. So when you understand these basic factors, um, you will then know that when you do command reality to manifest, when you do put your energy and your investment into something with proper intent, it will manifest beautifully as you command it to. So all right, I just want to continue a little bit. Oh, also let me go into Saturnalia as well, because that was also just something we were speaking on a little bit um, in the previous class, but it got distorted. So here we go, Saturnalia. 1 second, just ensure. Okay. So you have the origins of Christmas predate Christianity through the pagan holiday called Saturnalia, which was a week long of lawlessness from December 17th through December 25th, that honored Saturn and included human sacrifice, intoxication, naked caroling, and rape. During these 7 days, there were no punishments for breaking any laws according to Roman law. All right, and this is a side note. Pagan in this sense simply means a person or group holding religious beliefs or customs other than that of those that might be considered quote unquote quote main world religions, end quote. Which is rather interesting enough, in that the Christians during this time period that we're speaking of now was actually in itself the non-mainstream religion, right? So he's bringing up an ironic point here. So you have this Christian society. We're speaking about circa, we're talking about the 4th century A.D. here, or the 300s. AD. And you have these Christians trying to pretty much recruit pagans to come into the fold. And the way that they chose to do it was by taking December 25th and claiming that to be Jesus' birthday, but really the underlying reasoning for it was so that the pagans at the time, or those who didn't follow the main world religions, quote unquote, that was really just a ploy to get them into converting to be Christians. Because Christians didn't celebrate Saturnalia. But the populace that the Christians were trying to get at, they said, okay, you know what? You don't have to give up Saturnalia. We'll give you December 25th for you to celebrate what you want to celebrate. But as Christians, though. You understand? So just going further in, it states, circa 4 AD, Christianity adopted Saturnalia with the hope that they could convert the non-Christians to Christianity by promising that they could still celebrate Saturnalia as Christians. Because Saturnalia did not follow Christian principles, the Christian leaders designated the last day of Saturnalia as the birth of Jesus, or more accurately, the Ptolemaic figure used to usurp the historical revolutionary rabbinic teacher, described in the scriptures as having hair of lamb's wool and feet of burnished brass. All right, so here, once again, we're still here in this time period. We're still talking about, the early 300s, 325 BC. That was the first the Ecumenical Nicaea Council, headed by Emperor Constantine, the father of Christianity, who took it upon himself to officially call Ptolemy the savior or the suitor, right? Understand what's going on. Just going to backtrack just to make sure that you guys are still with me in all of this. Because I know I kind of went in a little loop here. But understand what's being done here, what's being stated, all right? You have Ptolemy. He is a Diaduchi, or a successor of Alexander the Greek, or Alexander the Third, also erroneously known as Alexander the Great, right? He's a Diaduchi, or a successor of Alexander, and what he has done is create what is known as the first European Egyptian dynasty. All right? He takes it upon himself to title himself as Pharaoh. Right? Now, because of this, not only does he call himself Pharaoh, he calls himself the Savior. All right? He calls himself the beloved chosen one of Amun-Ra. All right? Now, it gets deep. It gets very deep. Now, fast forward. Remember, that Ptolemy, his era was in BC, was 300 BC, right? Fast forward now, we talking about 300 AD, 325 AD, where you have the Emperor Constantine, right? Flavius Augustus, he commenced the first ecumenical Nicaea Council, right? The ecumenical also mean the ecumenical council or the general council, literally meaning the inhabited world council, right? So now you have this emperor. He officially, he and the himself along with the ecclesiastical body or dignitaries of that time officially stated that Ptolemy the first, Suter or Savior, proclaimed him as Savior officially, right? So when you see people talk about Jesus Christ, who they're really speaking in reference of is Ptolemy, right? Who they're really speaking of. We're not talking about the scriptures just yet. We didn't even get to the scriptures yet. We're just talking about the face. We're talking about the front man. We're talking about the idol god that the Nicaea Council, the Nicaea Ecumenical Council, took it upon themselves to designate to people in circa 4 A.D., right, which is the 300 BC. Excuse me, the 300 A.D. So now that's heavy. That's real heavy to swallow, I think, for some people, just because there's so many layers. Like I stated, we didn't even get to the scriptures yet, because what has actually happened is that you have Ptolemy, this character, you have him being proclaimed as first self-proclaimed, then officially proclaimed by the Nicaea Council as Savior. So it was this figure, this literal figure, that usurped the historic events of our Moabite Canaanite brother Yeshua ben Yosef, right? The one that you hear the stories of, where he went in the temple and he was whipping them at 12 years old, flipping over tables. You see what I'm saying? Taking a whip and whipping them out the temple. The money changers and the tax collectors, right? They're saying that this figure took on that persona in order to kind of to really drive it home. You see what I'm saying? Truth and falsehood being strangely mixed at this point. You see? So now, 1 second, let me go where we going further. All right, so let me just read this part where they speak about let me go here to where they speak about what the Jews had to deal with. So it says here, approximately, we're kind of fast forwarding through time a little bit now, and it says approximately 1466, the Roman Catholic Church under Pope Paul II forced the Jews to run through the city streets naked as a tribute to Saturnalia. According to author David I, Kurtzer, The Popes Against the Jews, Because Saturnalia did not follow Christian principles, the Christian leaders designated the last day of Saturnalia as the birth date of their biblical Jesus. Keep in mind that the Bible is scripture usurped and utilized as a means to justify particular desired end result. All right, so basically what he just told you is that they take our sacred scriptures, they would edit it and alter it to their liking in order to gain a specific result. All right. So now, hence, for instance, you hear like the New Testament. The New Testament is mainly passive literature. Turn the other cheek. You have, it's like the Old Testament. The Old Testament speaks of a just God, a jealous God, the one that says, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, which really comes out of the Hammurabi code, the eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth concept comes from the Hammurabi code. You should definitely check that out. But yeah, you have two. It's like you can tell like this duality with God, so-called God. You have one who deals with war and ain't scared to shed blood, and then you have the other one who kind of just doesn't want to, don't want any form of abuse to occur or any form of conflict to arise. So that he'll tell you to turn the other cheek and to be really passive. It's all tailored for a desired result. You see, hence why you see so many people passive right now. Someone can get shot dead straight in front of someone's face, and the most they can do is call out to Jesus, thinking he's going to come out the sky and do something. It's truly sickening once you really understand what's going on. But anywho. Oh, this is also an interesting tip here as well. It says again, I paused just to explain the etymology of the word anti-Semitism, right? Anti-Semitism is derived from the word Semite, which is derived from the word Chemite or Kenite, meaning Egyptian in Greek. Another interesting insight while we're in the neighborhood, if you take the if sound off the word gypsy, replacing it in the beginning of the word, you may note that the word gives off an understanding of its nature being a nomadic people of a darker hue from Egypt. All right. So you just basically that's just a little etymology, just some etymology keys there for your understanding. You can see that gypsy gypsy is derived from Egypt, which really means Greek is, gypsy derives from Egypt, right? Egypt is Greek referring to Kemet, right? And Kemet, Semite or Semi is derived from the word Kemet or Kenet. All right, so it's all. So when you hear, and like they say, you're an anti-Semite, you hear these Jews, these I call them Jews of doctrine. Jews of doctrine, because it's pretty much, or you can call them naturalized Jews, because that's truly the true Jews. We all know who the true Jews is. I'm not even going to have to get into that history. There's a whole other lesson in itself. But the true Jews are chocolate, melanated. We the first people on every continent. So when you hear they talk about Jews, who they're really speaking about are those who were on the Iberian Peninsula. The Iberian Peninsula is located the Iberian Peninsula is located where is known as where what is known as Portugal and Spain You know what I mean? And then you already know who went up in Spain and enlightened that whole place. All right. So there goes your true Jews right there. All right. But anywho, um, when you hear them speak of anti-Semite, right? When they say anti-Semite, what they're really saying is anti-Chemite. So they're saying that you have something against a Chemite. So put it into that kind of perspective, and then you start to understand like why the Bible said, those Jews are not. They are the synagogue of Satan, right? Because they lying. They stolen identity again, right? But anywho, so now let me get into a little astrology with you guys, right? So understand astrology has always played a major part. Astrology cosmology really has always played an important part within Christian as well as other religious doctrines. When you're speaking of the winter solstice, now see, I want to okay, as you can see here as well, while I have the picture up here, see if I can highlight it. Right, this picture here, you see it's Saturn on the glass tableau on a church. All right, like, I mean, if astrology had nothing to do with religion, then why is Saturn depicted on the stained glass of a church? You know, but I digress. I'm going to stop this because I want you guys to see something. Yes. All right, so here I'm just simply drawing the cardinal points, right? Right, so yeah, Sagittarius and Capricorn, winter solstice. All right, so here I have depicted um just to show you where the winter solstice occurs. As you can see, it is Sagittarius. It's when the sun travels into from Sagittarius into Capricorn. All right, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. All right, let me just put a little H there. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be perfect and it's not working. I'm trying to be perfect for you guys and it's not working. All right, so just do half. Right. Winter solstice. This is ruled by Jupiter. This is ruled by Saturn. All right, so here I have it. Right, so you have the path of the sun. The sun is moving from within Jupiter, into Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. All right. Now you can begin to understand what you're going to begin to understand now is why Saturn plays such a critical role. All right, with Capricorn, with dealing with Capricorn and everything. Saturn is looked at in a sense to be the ruler of this 3D dimensional plane, right? Saturn represents cardinal Earth, so new Earth, new beginnings of Earth. When you're dealing with the new beginnings of material things, right? When dealing with Capricorn, you start to understand um, why the restriction is necessary. But once you graduate, this is when you start to see the beauty of Saturn, because the magic of Saturn, or the characteristic of Saturn, is that Saturn represents that parent that loves you enough to make you work hard for what you want. That way you will appreciate it more when you get it. That's what Saturn represents. All right, that's the energy of Saturn. So now, in understanding that, let me just, I want you to get the fundamental basis here. I want you to understand as well the movement of Saturn. And understand everything, every story, like the biblical stories, the scriptural stories, they're really allegories for things that are going on celestially, or cosmologically. You see where you have certain planets conjuncting, certain energy hitting the surface of the earth at a certain point in time. Like this is real. This is why you have holidays when you have holidays. For instance, with the winter solstice here, you have this what do you call this Saturnalia, right? This Saturnalia um, ritual going on for a week from the 17th to the 25th. Why up until the 25th? Because the 20 at during the 25th, that is when the sun starts to once again move or become born again. It takes on that process of becoming born again, passing those 3 additional seasons and re-emerging itself in spring. You see what I'm saying? If you're following, if you follow with your mind's eye. As a matter of fact, I have it here in front of me, so I'll just do that for you here. All right. So as you can see, this is Sagittarius, right? You have Sagittarius here, turning in the sun moving from the house of Sagittarius into the house of Capricorn. Once before it moves into the house of Capricorn, it stands still for 3 days. At this moment, you have a what is known as a I would say these it's like this. The winter solstice historically has been the time of birth for all of Earth's new teachers, right? One second. I'm just gonna read my notes for you guys, right? So the winter solstice has historically been the time of birth um for all of Earth's great teachers. This is because it is the time of new light for the planet. World teachers chose this particular time because they always bring with them a new teaching appropriate for that time. All right? Hence again, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, represents cardinal Earth. All right? So new teachings, new information, new manifestations is emerging from Saturn. You understand? So now continuing on, the teachings can be a rejuvenating state of illumination for the people of Earth. Winter solstice occurs on the 21st, same time the planetary keynote changes from Sagittarius to Capricorn. At this time, the light currents submerged within the core of Earth reverse and change course, just like the sun, which is reversing its southward course and turning northward. All right. So here you're having the sun. Here you're having the sun. So where am I going? Okay, so yeah. So east, west, right? We're moving. It's going from its south position, right? It's going from moving southward because this right here is, it's moving south. Now it's standing still for 3 days, reversing its course essentially so that it can then move northward to where it is going to re-emerge itself out of Aries. All right, and then this is the vernal equinox. Hence, the March 21st marks the spring equinox. All right. Now, what I do. Wait, hold on a second. What I do want to go into a little bit is the explanation of the seasons a little bit while I'm on topic, because some really honestly still don't understand how our seasons how our seasons are created. Essentially, our seasons are created because of the tilt of the earth. That's one. 1 second, fam. Just opening up. I'm just opening the picture here. Alright, so here you can see a good, I've located a good pic for you guys just to see what I'm speaking of. Alright, so now here you have in your view what it looks like, what creates our seasons, right? So you can see here, let's see if I can just zoom in a little bit. Right? Alright. So what you have is what you have being displayed here is our seasons. And during the spring, well, first off, understand that Earth has a tilt which is 23.5 or 23.5 degrees, right? The Earth rotates on this on this angle, on its axis that is tilted at 23.5 degrees. So because of this, what you're seeing or witnessing um, as the sun travels and moves, or our perception of the sun traveling and moving, um, you're seeing the seasons change. This is why you don't go from a spring season, which is roughly around 65 to 70, say 70, a cool 70 degrees, right? Overnight, it's not going to just jump up to 90 degrees. You see, that's not what's going to happen, or at least that's not what's supposed to happen. What you would see is that gradual shift of it, going up in increments from the 70 to roughly 75, 80, 85. Then you start to peak at 90, but it's a gradual change. And as it's changing, as the seasons are changing, excuse me, as the sun is moving through, and that's how you start to see the seasons change. You see the flowers blooming, you see them peaking, and then you start to see them kind of whittle away and go into a hibernation state before the winter comes, before the winter months kick in, right? So that's the effect that you're seeing here. You have winter here, right? Winter solstice here. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces are within the winter. With those are the signs or the constellations that the sun is moving through during the winter stage, during the winter season. Then during spring, you're gonna have Aries, uh, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Excuse me, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini within the spring season, represented by March, April, May. Then you have well, it's more so April than March because it's towards the end of March. Um, but you get the point. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying as far as the signs. So just know that each sign, each season is encompassed by 3 signs. So with winter, you're gonna have Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Spring, you're gonna have um, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. The summer season, you're gonna have Cancer, um, Leo, Virgo. During the autumn, you're gonna have Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and then the cycle continues on again as the year closes out and begins anew, right? So just want to open this book again. Just want to open the book again for you guys. So yeah, so now we are back to the book, and going into sacred geometry now, right? So getting into sacred geometry or secret earth measurements, right? Your mind and consciousness are 2 separate non things. Both are based upon actual physical shapes we call sacred geometry. Know that science and spirit have much in common within reality. The proponents of both say that our universe begins similarly, as a singularity or deriving from one source, with one force being the cause for existence of the other. In science, they call this beginning the Big Bang. In religion, they call this beginning creation, right? So now, let me go back a second. Okay, so here's the picture that I wanted to find for you guys. I'm trying to see them. I can close it out. I'm just closing out those things that I don't need open, um, to prevent any lag going on. I don't wish there to be any um, issues right now as I'm going through this. All right. Okay. So I'm opening back up to the book for you guys here, and here you guys can see that as I was speaking before, you see the Fibonacci spiral, where it shows straight and curved lines in absolute perfect harmony with one another. This is what you will see in nature, um, everywhere. You will see this everywhere in everything, every living thing. All right, everything. Um, Getting into the understanding of sacred geometry, you really begin to see um, how truly the same we are. You know, we have our similarities, but there is a common denominator amongst us all. All right. So in religion, this beginning is called creation. Both science and religion say everything started from a single source, which expanded outward and became all of that which is. Also, in both science and spirituality, light or photon energy, as it's known scientifically, is said to have played a critical, important role, which by no measure should be overlooked. All right, so here you can see um, the singularity here, and you can see how they merge right here. We're merging. What we're doing, we're merging these two worlds, these two concepts, right? The science and the religion, right? And with that, it creates the Vesica Pisces, right? But now, if we take it to a cell level, here, this is an example, excuse me, of cells multiplying. All right, this is one cell. The one doubled into two, then double that into four, double that into 8, 16, so on and so forth, right? This is exemplified here within the flower of life, right? When you simplify the flower of life, what you get is the Vesica Pisces. You see what I'm saying? So I hope I didn't mind trip anyone with that. Um, but understand if you can see it. Remember the prophet said we're going to learn through signs and symbols, right? It says the overlapping symbols to the right brings in and to form a triad from a duality expressed as an extremely spiritual symbol shaped called the Vesica Pisces, also shown below. All right. So once again, you have here um, a cell that doubled. You know, it doubled itself. It continues. That's what cells do. It just continues to double, right? In that doubling, you begin to see this pattern that we call the tree of life or the flower of life. Excuse me, right? In simplifying the flower of life, you can simplify it down to two circles. Within those two circles, you see this shape here, which is known as a fish. Remember, they often associate this symbol with um, the Christ figure, right? Seeing that he was the symbology with him was that he represented a time of belief. But now we're in a time of knowing. We're in the age of Aquarius now, right? And he says that you will, I forgot which biblical scripture, but there was a man who asked Yeshua, um, where do I go? How do I, who do I follow? And Yeshua responded, there will be a man with a pitcher of water, and you will follow him, right? Speaking of the water bearer, the age of Aquarius. All right, but getting back on topic. Oops, okay, getting back on topic here. Just want to scroll down a little bit. Okay. Everything in our universe is a digital fractal which can be measured on a geometric scale. Everything in our universe, without exception, comes out of the well-known following base mathematical geometric shape, the flower of life. All right. So notice how the Vesica Pisces is coming into being. This is where it's showing me. Here, this is what is known as the tree of life. All right. The Vesica Pisces is also known as the yoni. So there you go. Or the womb. All right. Also remember the Vesica Pisces symbol is symbolizing the sign Pisces, which is really the matrix or the womb where the sun reemerges out of into Aries. You understand what I'm saying? The sun has to pass through Pisces or the womb, the spiritual realm, to manifest itself out in the sign of Aries, right? So that's also being represented by the Vesica Pisces as well. As it is above, right? Here we're going to be getting into the Platonic solids, which is 1 second, just want to make sure I didn't skip over anything crucial. But as I stated, you guys should be reading the book along with me. Don't wait for me. All I'm pretty much doing is giving a summary of what you should be reading on your own. Do not wait for me to read the book for you in the book, because I am intentionally leaving things out. I will let you know that now. I am intentionally leaving things out, such as the hyperlink that you guys should be clicking on, which will give you more information, a more thorough background of what is going on within the book. But you guys really need to start researching things on your own. Don't be afraid to pick up the book and really explore your mind. All right. What time do I have now? All right. I have a few. We have like 5 minutes, I would say. So I'll just go into this duality aspect here, what is perceived to be duality, right? So it says the well-known yin and yang symbol, for the most part, represents duality, positive and negative, or opposites in actuality, or opposite. Know that in actuality, it is a harmonious triad that is being represented with the yin and yang. All right, three opposed to two, um, and it's being with what is being represented, as I stated, is a triad. All right. So you see the yin on one side. You see the yin on one side. The yin is the dark portion, the shadow, and then the yang is the light. Right. Some people don't know the difference. So I'm letting you. So you have the yin and the yang, and then you have this third aspect here, this S in the center, right? This swivel here, which is pretty much indicating a motion, like an unseen motion, which merges these two elements together. You see, it's not just yin over here and yang over there. They're submerged within each other. Hence why you have the opposite being shown. Like you have a little bit of the yin in the yang, and then you have a little bit of the yang in the yin, right? It's a swerving motion that's going on. It's an actual motion, or a a force that is creating this harmony. It's mixing, this mutation to occur, right? It says that there are two specific kinds of energy which can be considered either male and female or masculine and feminine. These two energies can be expressed through the following images. All right, so you have the masculine energy, which is focused, lineal, while feminine or random, free and creative, total, unbridled potential, and neither is greater or weaker than the other. So what he just stated here is, here you have, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? That's how it goes. Um, but you have it being the masculine is equal to the feminine. One is not above the other. One is not above the other. All right. There's gonna be some naysayers about it, but understand my yacht is balanced. All right. One is not gonna supersede the other. That's not that's just out of harmony with things. What you may have, what you will see is people taking the the feminine energy and attributing that to, wait, let me just take this off for a moment. Just want to take this off for a moment. This brings it back to what I was stating from previous, where one moment thing. All right. My apologies for that, family. This is slight delay, but as I was stating, this is what I was speaking of prior, where you would have people attribute the feminine energy specifically to the female. But understand, every living thing is comprised of masculine and feminine energies. Okay? Meaning a male more with a phallus, right? He is comprised of masculine as well as feminine energy. He has a left as well as a right hemi, uh, uh, brain, right? Left hemisphere, right hemisphere in his brain, right? Which represents logical thinking as well as creative freeform thinking. All right. You have females with the yoni, right? We are comprised of masculine and feminine energy, right? We're not. It's not. When you're speaking of masculine and feminine energy, masculine is not specifically tailored to the males, and feminine energy is not specifically tailored to females. All living things have both. They're comprised with both. They encompass both. All right, balance. So now, when it comes to understanding the qualities of these energies, right? You have the linear. Let me just go back. Excuse me. You have the this focused linear energy that the masculine energy represents, right? The male energy travels in a direct manner, right? So it's what is known as a ray or a line segment. For instance, let me just do it like this. All right, so masculine, feminine, right? So masculine is very focused. It is direct, right? It's practical. It's rational, right? Um, it can also be um, it can be rigid. It can be rigid. Very very closed-minded because it can be so focused on a task at hand, wanting to execute that task, it can become closed-minded, right? So he's rigid. It has the potential to be closed-minded, right? Or stubborn, right? Pretty much stubborn. What the masculine um portion of the mind, or the left hemisphere of the brain, what it does is it compartmentalizes things, right? It doesn't look it doesn't look at the whole of a thing. It looks at specific things, like very detailed, very logical, right? That's the masculine, or the left hemi, right? And then you have the right. Now you have the right hemi. The right is representing the feminine energy, which is creative, free flowing. It is unbridled, right? Unbridled, unrestricted, unrestricted. There, it can be the feminine mind, or the creative mind, or the left hemisphere of the brain. Excuse me, the right hemisphere of the brain. It looks at the whole of a thing, while you have the left masculine logical portion of the brain uh, being very um, specific and compartmentalizing things. You have the right side of the brain, the feminine energy, the feminine quality, the creative, unbridled energy, looking at the holistic view of a thing. All right. So in doing this, when doing this, it can become the brain can become the right side of the brain can become compulsive, right? It can be compulsive and not as rational as the left brain, right? The left hemisphere. Your right hemisphere deals with your emotions. Your left brain deals with statistics. It deals with logistics, right? Your right side of your brain enjoys music. It enjoys how it sounds, the vibration of an instrument that's being played, right? The vocals of a singer. Your right side being stimulated. Your left side would look at music as wanting to know how to compose the music. Like they want to learn how to read music, right? They will want to know how to build the instrument itself, right? As opposed to just wanting to know how to play and write their own song. That will be expressive of the right hemisphere, right? So all of this is just um, expressions of the masculine and feminine energies at play within the brain. All right, it looks kind of um, messy. Forgive me for that, but yeah. So where am I? I'm on page 30, right? Yeah. So the next 10 pages, probably going to go a little bit further than just 10 pages, just because of how fast um I am moving with this, and it really is a small book. It's 130 pages. A lot of it is pictographs, right? But it's so packed with information. And once again, once you get the understanding um, that's within the book, it'll really start to open your mind into to seeing what you need to see. Like, you'll take your you'll be putting on your they live shades after this, after you finish reading this book. All right. So with that, I am gonna close out. Before that, I would like to say my Moorish prayer. Right. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah, you are my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day. Through our holy prophet, as well as our ancestors, seen and unseen, those known and unknown. Much love. Islam, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. All right? Hotep, fam. Peace.